News First, face to face with Jamal Ratnayaka.
It's a brand new day, it's a brand new year, and another brand new edition of Face to Face. Welcome to the first edition of Face to Face for the year 2024. As always, I'm Jamal Ratnayaka for the Newsfirst team. It was the famous French author Voltaire who once said, "With great power comes great responsibility," and it was later memorialized through pop culture as well. And tonight with me, I have an individual who has been entrusted with great power and also great responsibility. Tonight in our studios, we have with us Minister Harin Fernando, Minister of Tourism, Land, and more recently, Sports and Youth Affairs as well. A very good evening to you, Mr. Fernando. Thank you for joining me on the show, on the very first show of 2024.
Thank you for having me, and wish a very prosperous new year to all the viewers in Sri Lanka. It's going to be a year of change. It's going to be a year of hope. So let's hope it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a year of change and a year of hope. Let's start off with a sport that has pride of place in Sri Lanka, cricket. I know you're the Minister of Sports, and cricket is not the only sport here in Sri Lanka, but cricket is more of a religion than a sport in Sri Lanka, and unfortunately we have seen the decline in Sri Lanka cricket over the years since the late 2010s, how Sri Lanka cricket was enjoying many successes, but later on we declined, and we are now in a situation where the ICC has suspended Sri Lanka cricket, although luckily we are able to compete in the international arena. But this also poses an opportunity for you, Minister, because this allows you to clean house.
Absolutely.
This allows you to bring in a new sports law altogether, and also to look at the Sri Lanka cricket constitution and to introduce and formulate new laws to ensure that we don't face such a decline in the future. So can you very quickly tell me, because we have much to talk about, very first tell me what the plans you have for cricket and sports overall.
Yeah, so a good question to start off with, and I think yes, you're correctly identified. Cricket is a religion, but cricket is not only the sport in Sri Lanka. We have 66 or 70 odd sports that's registered in Sri Lanka. However, cricket has been the talking point because it is quite commercial. It has been what has taken us to the world stage. So there was so much of interest after winning few World Cups, few Asia Cups. But hypothetically, I do not know, Jamal, if you know this, in the year of 2023, Sri Lanka is the country that has won the second most amount of matches. But consistency is an issue.
Yes.
What we won, which team we won against, it's not just the wins, it's how we play, it's our attitude, it's how we face after a defeat. I mean, a sport, you'll always win, you'll always lose, but you keep a dignity and the sport, and it gives a huge impact on the country as well. So these are things that I am more worried to see what has happened over the period of time. Certain people have disclosed lots of corruption within the management, so there is lots of a cleanup that has to be done, and like you said correctly again, I'm starting from a clean slate, so it's quite easier for me to get this on the right track, and I have a brief experience doing so when I had a short stint of about 8 months, which I did the right way of getting rid of a corrupted person, was so-called.
And you introduced the new sports corruption law.
And that's the only country. We are the only country in Asia, not even Pakistan, not even India, not even Bangladesh has it, other than 2 foreign countries in Europe, probably British and the Australians have it. Other than that, nobody else has it.
Established cricket boards.
Yeah, so I personally feel ICC have a bit of respect for me when it comes to being able to change it.
Right.
And I think that's probably one of the reasons President entrusted me on this job, to get this fixed again and get the ban out. So recently, last week, I went and met the ICC officials on a brief meeting just for a few hours, and I even met the ACC president Jay Shah, who has been the talking point right now.
Yes,
But he's quite an influential guy when it comes to a country like Sri Lanka. You need to, it's about balancing all of this and getting the best for the Sri Lankan cricket.
Because it borders on international relations as well.
Absolutely, and we're a very small country. If you really look at it, this is what my biggest worry of cricket. Only about 4 million people or population is among crickets in Sri Lanka. Because you see, after Sanjay nobody came from Mathura really. And it's Gaul, Ambalangoda, Kalutara, Panadura, Moratua, then comes Colombo, a little bit of Vattala, Jala, then Nigambo, and that's it. And Kurunagal and Kandy will find odd 1 or 2 players.
Still haven't found a player from the province you used to represent, the Uva province.
Exactly. There's nobody from Uva, Ampara, Batiklo, Jaffna. Jaffna, there's one boy who had come for LPL, which is good.
Yes.
So we are looking at, President has put up a 1.5 billion budget and headed by Siddharth Vetumuni and Aravinda De Silva to develop rural cricket and wickets. You need proper wickets for boys to play, and you can't be playing matin cricket and then come and play on a turf. So it's quite a lot if you really think Sri Lanka has to do. We are lucky to be where we are if you really think, if you really ask me, because Sri Lankans are born talented cricketers because we inherited this from the British when they were living, and I think that culture has developed over the period of time, and it has been good. But how many top schools can afford this expensive sport? Because for a ground you have to pay a lot. We don't have enough grounds. Even in Colombo, schools like Isipatana, schools like Lumbini, they're good cricketers, but they don't have a proper ground.
Yes.
And they have to hire a ground. And SLC has a lot more to do, and the government of Sri Lanka need to get that infrastructure right. All in all, we've made some changes. Sanjay Surya has taken over inside SLC, and I heard from the boys. I have a great relationship with most of the cricketers, not in a personal manner, but they've respected me, I've respected them. So they talk to me all of the time. And they start practice at 6:30 in the morning every day at Ketaram, and every day by 6:30 Sanjay Surya is standing there.
Right.
So this is sometimes the
So
change
this is
that
instilling
really,
discipline.
Exactly. When you have too many foreign coaches also, we have a language barrier, to be honest. Boys who come from rural areas. I'm not the most favored person when it comes to all foreign coaches. There should be a blend of their expertise as well as some Sri Lankans being there, because it's easy to communicate. And one thing I really have seen that I want to change in Sri Lanka cricket is there should be a psychologist and a mentor touring, being with them 24/7. Foreign countries, foreign sports people, because it's a ever evolving sport, and it takes a lot out of you, your family time, your commitments, your discipline, your focus, the money that you get, how you spend it, all of that matters. So if you see All Blacks in rugby, they have a guy or two traveling all the time. So even if you come to breakfast and sit down and your face is not right, they'll know there's something wrong with this guy, and then they'll talk to him and they'll get the best out of them. Sri Lankan cricket do not I feel like they have not been the professional of how we should be contesting.
So you brought up a very interesting point there. You spoke of a psychologist, which mainly has to do with the attitude of the players. And if you take the Sri Lankan fan base, given the successes Sri Lanka cricket has enjoyed, whenever we fail to win a trophy or we fail miserably or lose a match by a considerable margin, we always have this habit of comparing one team to the other. But one must understand that this is modern day cricket, and cricket has evolved since the 1990s, very much so. But do you believe even the fan bases are somewhat living in the past when it comes to this, or the players' discipline has actually eroded?
Both. I would say, nowadays there's quite a lot of keyboard warriors who will always have something to say. But then again, Sri Lankans have had defeats and they've always backed their side. But now it's different, probably because of our boys' discipline and the way they face the media, or how casual they take a defeat. The entire country sometimes when you have a match, I remember my dad used to not go to work, keep me from not going to school.
Certainly.
And we both sit through the whole day. Now when I think about it, what a waste of time. Of cricket is long, and I can't imagine. I would have sat through the entire day.
Match,
So, but having said that's what's in us. That's
the passion we have.
That's the passion we have. But it's fast eroding, and I don't want to see that happening. So, players' discipline, the way they face the media. I mean, you need to take ownership, even if you win or even if you lose, even if you do good or even if you do bad. It is a quality a sportsman should have, and I feel that since of late, one of the reasons that people are falling off the Sri Lankan cricket is because they don't find that discipline amongst the players, which I'm sure we can fix. It's about guiding them, and these are young boys. All of a sudden when they get money, I mean, it could happen to me. It could happen to you very easily. So that's why we need proper mentors who's always there, who's always guiding them, because even for them it's a short stint of play. And if they don't make the most of it, they will ruin their lives. So you need to guide them.
So you're confident over the next 7 to 8 months that you can make at least a minor change.
I want to see the World Cup once we go to the 2020 World Cup, which is going to be played in USA and West Indies, which will favor us. West Indies has always favored us.
Certainly.
The wickets. So I hope the boys, if they commit, if they can be consistent, and
with the new selection committee as well,
and the selection committee, I am very, very certain they will do their best, because they're young boys and they just got out of cricket, so they know exactly. They've seen the players who have played, and they played alongside. This was my whole reason that I was preferring some young set of people, because I mean, it's easy to get some legends to be the selectors, but the modern day cricket is very different.
They're freshly retired. They know the first class arena.
They know the first class arena, and they know the boys very well. They know the strengths and weaknesses. They share the same changing room, and also the players are confident to go and talk to them because they know them. So it's not like
there's no gap.
There's no gap. So I feel that will work for us.
So moving from cricket, it's 2024 and it's a leap year, which means that this year we will be having the Olympics in Paris, France in June this year. But given the situation in other sports in Sri Lanka, as far as I know, none of our athletes have qualified for the 2024 Olympics as of yet. So what's your plan for that, Minister?
Yes, so now Yupun Nabekon,
Yupun Nabekon.
Yes, he's in Italy. We allowed him to stay there and train, and he will have to compete in few more competitions to be selected to the Olympics. So he's on course on that. And a few other athletes similarly, we are spending them to go around and perform on these different courses, so that's how they'll get
the qualification criteria will be fulfilled.
But I really believe if Sri Lanka wants an Olympic medal, there are many other ways, many sports.
How so?
That we can really work on. Archery would be one, because shooting could be another, because we've been through a 30-year war. We have lots of veteran people who are marksmen. So there's quite a lot that we need to promote those sports if we are looking at an Olympic medal. Unfortunately, one thing why I didn't really like to take sports up at one point was that there are more issues on federations than with the players.
Yes. Even recently, you issued a gazette, I think, dissolving several federations.
Yes. These federations are just there to make sure that they go on a tour, just on a retirement plan, and there's no focus. So right now we're looking at a consultancy firm to see how we overall change the sport, how to identify things, make it really professional. The ministry alone can't do that. This is what I believe. I'm a politician. I at least like sports. If somebody else who didn't like sports would not know what is happening, and trying to make decisions for that sport from that ministry would not work really well. So I think overall we need to look into this in a very professional manner and see. Look at this. We are an island nation. There's so much of water bodies inside Sri Lanka. How many swimmers have we produced? How many rowers have we produced? How many surfers have we produced? We're a nation that's blessed with so many stuff, but we need to identify all of this. So that's why I thought a consultancy firm coming through, identifying these sports, getting what the government should fund into and have the focus, will change the entire dynamics very soon.
So there are great plans, great ambitions for the world of sports here in Sri Lanka. Let's hope sincerely that the minister is able to fulfill all of his aspirations. Moving on to your other portfolio, tourism. You took up tourism first late last year. And that was a gargantuan task when you took it up, when even the last tourist in Sri Lanka was leaving Sri Lanka. And you went on a very big round of tours to promote Sri Lanka, first in India and thereafter in countries in Europe as well. How has that fared? Can you give me some highlights of 2023 and the plan for 2024?
I get goosebumps when I think about it. The first day that I went to work, and we sat down, and what we had to do was to find fuel, to find the tourists wherever they were stuck, to get them into the airport, and that was not a good feeling to start off with.
Yes.
But then first few trips that I took, all I took on my own. I didn't want to cost the government, and we did it on our own. We had the functions only in our embassies. But eventually, by September, we got around with a small strategy.
Right.
And the industry really helped me. Industry really supported me from the start. Because they were doomed. They had nothing. And we all got together, and we first went to India, and we went to Delhi, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Chennai, Bangalore, Cochin. We went on this huge tour, and we took about 40 companies of Sri Lanka, and we really made an account of ourselves and showed that first thing was that to say that Sri Lanka was normal.
Right.
That was a challenge, because we had a massive political crisis,
Yeah,
12-hour power
bans.
cuts. There were no fuel, so who would want to come and get stuck in Sri Lanka?
Definitely.
So to convince them, we had to go, we had to show our videos, we had to be very passionate, we spoke very well. I think they really loved us at that point, and the Indians really helped us. And there was a lady called Jyoti Maya. She was the head of the entire Indian Travel Association, and she traveled everywhere with us, and she said, she goes to a meeting and says, okay, put your hands up, who's going to send 10 people today and sign it up today. And that's kind of passion that we had, and we really mingled very well with them. And then we had a massive this year, their entire travel association AGM, because I believe, I always say seeing is believing. So people need to come and see. There are lots of influencers that we brought into Sri Lanka just to show that Sri Lanka is getting back to normal, and it is normal.
Safe, yes.
And it is safe, and the numbers prove for itself. I was targeting for this year 1.5. Now for yesterday when I checked, it was 1.4,070,000. So
right.
So
I think the highest number of tourists in a record year was 2.3 million in
2018. That was our peak. But I'm quite certain with all our plans, what we're trying to do, next year we will surpass that, and for sure. So my target is 2.5.
Right.
And but there should be a lot more things that has to add up to Sri Lanka, and also this 31st night that was just concluded just showed the world that how the Asia's partying city is going to be Sri Lanka.
Right.
Because our parties go on till 5-6 in the morning. Our 31st nights go on till breakfast and have the Kiribati, whereas Singapore stops at 1, Bangkok stops at 1, Malaysia stops at 1. So I mean they may have a different
slight
culture of
advantage over us,
partying,
yes.
but then to show that Sri Lanka is also on the map of this craziness,
the entertainment industry
is there, will help me develop Colombo into a city of a entertainment partying place, because right now all the tourists go out of Colombo.
Yes.
Colombo, they do not remain in
more
Colombo.
towards down south.
So we have a huge plan of changing the president house into a hotel. We're trying to change it, the Navy camp into a restaurant area, and the entire Lotus Road like a mini Clarky with all those warehouses converted. So next year you see all of those development coming in Colombo. There's quite a lot of casinos in Colombo. Port City is going to be developed. So that will make tourists, whoever go out of Colombo, will
be
stop in Colombo for 2 days or 3 days as well, which will give us a big huge boost. Right now it's only the business travelers who stay here, and the casino travelers who's coming from India and China. All in all, the numbers for us, number 1 being India, number 2 being Russia, number 3 being China, is very good, and then comes the European traditional markets of us. But our key focus next time will be to attract more high-end tourists, because now Sri Lanka needs to, we should not compare ourselves to a Bangkok or a Vietnam or a Thailand and say they are cheap and we are very bit expensive. But yes, Sri Lanka is a different product altogether. What we have to offer is very, very different. the Ramayana trail will be a different experience. The ferry traveling for all pilgrimages will be a different aspect. We're looking into it. We're trying to go into Japan and promote wellness tourism because that has a huge scope and you can also charge them. And our low season, I would never say Sri Lanka is an off-season destination, but our low season is the season for Australia. We're trying to work with 2 airlines to have a direct flight, other than Sri Lankan Airlines, to fly in to be low cost, so that the surfers can come in through, because lots Australians surf a lot, and their hot spot is Bali and Thailand, but they're tired of going there. So we can tap into that market. Yeah, but they're tired. They only go there. So, but they come to Sri Lanka.
Want to change.
They will definitely love Sri Lanka because it has so much to offer. It's just not the water, it's adventure, it's a culture, it's the inheritance, the food, the people. So I think Sri Lanka altogether, that's why our tagline is Sri Lanka, you'll come back for more. Why we did that also was 33% of Sri Lankan travelers are repeaters. So we went through this, it was not my words, it is Ogilvy, which is a global company who came up with this campaign. And actually people love it. People who have come back, they say you're absolutely right. We come back for Sri Lanka because
so it resonates with them.
Absolutely. And we haven't done a campaign for the last 15 years. Incredible India is there, truly Malaysia is Malaysia.
Malaysia truly.
But Sri Lanka did not have. We kept on changing. I think land like no other was there.
So Sri Lanka.
So Sri Lanka came in, but we want to stick to something that resonates and that goes a long way. That we can build a campaign. So when I say it, it might not just hit you. We might say, this guy is calling rubbish. But when the video footages, the campaign Ogilvy has done, you watch it, you feel, you're attracted to it, and you see this is absolutely right. And the guy, so we're just starting our campaign. It's a massive campaign. We're doing it in 5 different areas. So China will go separate, Europe will go separate. So we're going to go market specific and promote it in that sense. And very soon you will see on trams, trains in England, China, the word Sri Lanka, you'll come back for more. So we're doing a proper campaign, and I'm quite hopeful that things will turn good. And honestly, to be honest, I'm quite excited with that ministry, and I feel we've done well. We need a domestic airline to operate Sri Lanka so that we can attract the high end. We're speaking with India for 2 helicopters which can carry 21-seater helicopters, so that you can go to Alla or you can go to Nurelia, to places where you can't even land a seaplane. So that's where the high end will quickly start coming in. They'll spend if you have the product. So Trinco, you don't want to go by road, but you can easily fly.
Go by
so plane, Air Force and us, we are trying to work on something on a 40-seater aircraft to have scheduled aircraft air operation next year. And with all that happening, I think we will be
a lot of hot prospects for the tourism industry as well.
And need some more brands, and I hope all these brands will keep coming in.
Unfortunately, we are coming towards the end of the show, but I must ask you now, we were talking about Minister Harin Fernando from the lens of Minister Harin Fernando. Let's talk about the politician Harin Fernando, who was this vociferous, outspoken character in the SJB, who sounded the first cry of the Aragalaya saying "Gota go home," who was clad in black, who was wearing a black headband in Parliament, who made very sentimental statements in Parliament that made the people rally around him. But since Harin Fernando took on these ministries and crossed over to the government, those sentiments have died down. And we will all agree that fraud and corruption, Mr. Fernando, is the reason Sri Lanka is where we are. And even recently we saw how substandard human immunoglobulin medicine was brought down Sri Lanka and administered to the people. Why is Harin Fernando silent on this? Has he gone soft, or what's the reason for this?
Absolutely not. See, my whole idea about it was when we chanted to forgot to go home. We did this campaign. I just went through a bypass open heart surgery, but within 2 weeks I got back to work, and against all my family's wishes. But I worked really hard, and I had a lot of strategies inside Parliament, outside Parliament. I worked a lot with my former leader Sajid Premadas, and he did believe me in everything. But unfortunately, when we got the opportunity to take responsibility, I as a human and I as a person who loves challenges, made a personal call. And when my leader did not want to take a challenge, it really hurt me. And at that point I thought, no, it's my responsibility too, because I called go home, but the country was suffering. The country came into a complete hierarchy, and it did not know what next to accept.
Yes. That is well and truly understood, and the people also rallied behind
it. And I went home. I mean, couldn't make the decision. It was the hardest decision that I had to make in my life, because I love SJP, and SJP was a part of me, because I created it mostly. Getting the plans, getting the logos, talking to the people, getting them rallying around. But I did not want to drag anybody else out of SJB at that point, because I didn't want to see SJB collapse, and I only thought of myself, and I thought, I am responsible also for Sri Lanka falling off by creating this massive uproar. And I thought, oh my God, even that is coming towards me also. So then I thought, why not accept something that you can change? That's why I specifically took tourism, because that is the lowest hanging fruit. And I thought that's how Sri Lanka could be revived. And I wanted Mansur to take over the foreign employment, because that's the number one foreign remittance earner. These two would be the only way, if we fix that, Sri Lanka will be back to normal, and which honestly we both
certainly no one has any reservations about that, but unfortunately there are certain wrongdoers in the government.
Even today I've never participated in a group meeting that is done by the government. I kept away from them.
But some of the ministers that are implicated were in the cabinet with you, still are.
Yes. So at that particular point, what choices did we have? And I mean, either were we going to just go for an election, just in a situation like that, or fix the country? And what I think what the president has done in a very short period is remarkable, because in 15 months to get out of bankruptcy, it's tough. It's absolutely tough. That the VAT, I am not in favor. I just had a meeting with the Hotel Association. The DMCs never was charged VAT. So from 0 to 18 is massive. That this is going to be a massive challenge for me in 2024, because our rates are going to be high,
especially for local tourists.
And the smaller, because they cannot even claim the VAT back. And that's going to have a huge impact. And already they have sold this. They sold the prices for the next 1 year.
For the next year,
So how are they going to come out? So I am just doing the numbers and want to have a one-on-one meeting with the president, because this is an IMF condition. But part of me feels part of this, having IMF makes us a disciplined nation. See, President spoke about this in Parliament, and he explained this beautifully. He said about Thailand, how Thailand was and how Sri Lanka was in the 1960s, and when Thailand went bankrupt and then they went to an IMF, they became disciplined. And today Thailand is in a different state, 6 times higher than us when their GDP to their per capita is compared to. So we did something wrong over the period of time. Politicians kept on promising and giving things free just to win elections.
We are made to be a welfare state.
I think we can't be a welfare state anymore. Sri Lanka is a beautiful island. We have so much of capacity, but discipline also has to be there. So overall, it might be tough times in the first 2 years, but if people get used to it, they'll know how to earn more to cover up what they're paying. So the thinking all have to change. So I think on a longer term, any leader who's coming, if it's not Ranil Wickremesinghe next time, even if it's Sajid Premdasa, they cannot push us back to a welfare state.
But in the longer term, once your job is done, will Harin Fernando go back to being that outspoken character in Parliament who calls for justice for the Easter attack victims, who calls a spade a spade?
Of course. I mean, even today, my stand has never changed. It's just that right now, a bit focused on what's on my hand and what's to deliver, because if you get mixed up with trying to be that person and trying to do this both, you won't be able to
get either one of them done.
So I just want to make sure I said this right, and if I am lucky enough to be again in government after the presidential election, then I will be a very different person of going for justice, going for what you have to do. Right now is on a short term, fixing what's lost, and then.
So very quickly before we wrap up, is Harin Fernando confident of making it into the next Parliament?
Personally I am. I'm never fear elections, because I honestly also always believe that I walk the talk, and I also I'm very, very close to people, and I do not want to fool them, and I do not want to stay in politics for long. I'm 44, but I'm even willing to let go after 50, because I sometimes feel you need to live life, otherwise you just become a
without drowning in it.
And then you don't have a life, and you die off, having done nothing, and people will hate you for being there for too long.
But at the end of the day, your conscience is clear.
My conscience is clear. So I hope to do one more term and
sit back and relax later on.
Hang out with my dogs.
Right. Amazing. Thank you very much, Minister Harin Fernando, for joining me on the first edition of Face to Face for 2024. We were joined by Minister Harin Fernando, Minister of Tourism, Land, Sports and Youth Affairs. We wish you all the very best in all of the endeavors that you have planned for 2024. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for Face to Face tonight. Do have a great night and an amazing year ahead.